All right, we're getting into September. It's going to start getting cooler soon. It's going to start getting cold. You know what's next? Frost. Well, these are the most frost hardy crops you can grow in your garden that will survive into winter. I'm out here and I've been busy this morning and I've been planting and just got my juices flowing and thinking. We planted our lettuce today over here. And we also planted a double row of bok choy. And then we will continue planting out as these peppers come and go. We'll decide, we'll probably end up taking out this second row first, and then this one will be the final row. I've had a jalapeno pepper give me 40 peppers a day before my last frost. That's what I harvested when I pulled the plant. So we're gonna leave it if we can and just see what happens. I'm cool with it. It just is what it is. The first one that I highly recommend that's very, very frost hardy would be kale, collards. This is like a group. Kale, collards, and mustard. So all three of those are very, very frost hardy. Routinely, I'm not growing kale this year, but we've routinely had kale. I think last year we had it in this back row and it went straight through the winter. We covered it because we had other stuff in here, but we don't have to cover it. We've left it uncovered many, many years. And I'm talking about down into the teens. What we need to understand is it's the recovery temperature the next day that dictates whether or not your plant survives. So adding the cover allows the temperature inside in the next day to raise up above freezing to give the plant time to recover. If you're getting consistent freezes and you're not covering your plants, then this isn't going to apply to you. So you do have to take extra steps. But in my area in coastal North Carolina, we get routinely down into the 20s. We will have stretches with no frost, and then we'll have stretches with freezes. And you know, the daytime temperatures can go anywhere. They usually stay around 50s, maybe into the 60s, but we always get a stretch that stays in the 40s. Kale, collards, and mustard greens, they're all really, really hardy. And I think they are the most hardy. If you had to survive, that is what I would focus on. And you would be right regular, but yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And we are planning to put our collards in this bed. So we are going to pull our buckwheat. I see it's just about to go to seed. I'm gonna give it a couple days. The bees are still working on it. And then we will go ahead and cut it back. And I'm gonna use this as mulch right on top. But we're gonna put our collards in this bed. Another one is Brussels sprouts. So we've been trying to grow Brussels sprouts. It's taken us a few years to really get them under control, but we've gotten it figured out, and they routinely do very well in the frost and the freezes as well. They stay out and we harvest them right around February. So February into March is when we will finish up our Brussels sprout harvest. But again, it definitely needs a cover. And the only reason why it really needs a cover is so you don't damage those fresh sprouts that grow. The frost will fall on them and then they can burn the edges. And if you don't want that, just put the cover on them and then that will help a lot. So Brussels sprouts are really good and they're a long-term crop. And so another one, which is a grouping I'm gonna give you, is gonna be rutabagas, turnips, and kohlrabi. All three of those, in my experience, are very, very frost hardy. Turnips grow throughout the winter here. You grow them for greens, you grow them for roots, all that good stuff. We've talked about them on the channel a lot, but we grow those interchangeably. We're gonna do a row of turnips this year for the greens. So we'll do that. And I actually think we're gonna end up putting them in this pepper row up here. I'm pretty sure. My plan is all over the place right now. Actually, I take that back. Because I wanna grow them for greens and not roots, because we have the rutabaga, we're gonna put them in the collard bed. So we'll have a row of collards, a row of turnip greens, and then, I don't know, probably kohlrabi next, because I got these giant kohlrabi seeds I wanna try. These are our rutabaga seeds. You can see they're coming in pretty good. We're just about to start getting true leaves, which means it is almost time to start thinning, which I'm looking forward to. I came out here and just put a dose of bone meal down, which is good for root development. And these are really good. They stay they're very hardy. All of them, the thing is let's say you were getting a freak freeze, like a really bad freeze. Typically speaking, even if you cover it, and I mean, I'm talking single digits, right? The greens would burn, but the roots would stay good and you could harvest the roots, right? So broccoli is not really on this list because the heads are very sensitive. Like if you don't cover them, it's not that they get burned, they get ruined, right? So we want to avoid that as much as possible, obviously, or else we just wasted our time. So this group of plants really makes a huge, huge difference. All three of them have very similar taste. So rutabaga, kohlrabi, and turnips. The only difference is turnips for the greens. Rutabagas are bigger. So that's why we like to grow them, because it's less that we have to grow and take care of. And then the kohlrabi just looks like it came from Mars or something, you know, pick your planet. You know, it's crazy. And so we like to grow that as well. We've had all of these crops last straight through the winter. We usually pull them just because usually the reason why we have to pull them is because we did our spacing wrong. So one year we did kohlrabi, went straight through the winter, and about February, we had to come out and we had to pull them because I had clumped them too close together and they weren't starting to bulb. So what I did is I came out and I was cut, like I basically cleared an area probably around 4 inches around each one. Lo and behold, guess what happened? We started getting roots. Or for kohlrabi, it's not really roots, the bulb, whatever. But the problem is we started getting that white mold I've discussed in other videos. So we had to pull everything. But other than that, that was my fault. But as far as the cold goes, it didn't kill it back. And adding a plastic cover is everything. That's why we can grow things in the greenhouse better than we can grow things out here, because the greenhouse is always covered, always set up, always has that recovery temperature in the daytime, versus these, it can be variable. You know, if I don't seal it right or I don't close it up on time or something like that, then we can have an issue. So the greenhouse always produces better, but we still use this, and we love using these low tunnels. Woke up this morning and it was 59 degrees, which is unheard of for this time of year. And I don't think we're gonna have an early fall, but I think we're gonna have an average cool fall. We're just in this weird weather pattern. So I wanted to take advantage of the planting times for this year. This year, last time it was 92 degrees as a high, and we're getting at like 85 and in the 60s and 50s at night, which is really good temperature for direct sowing. These are really good temperatures for optimal growing temperatures for these plants. And then, so what we're doing is we're actually seeing these plants grow rapidly and get more established faster, which is really good because that's going to move us into the winter a little bit better. So we're working on it, we're doing it, but you know, as we start thinking about it, some of these crops take a really long time to grow. So like cabbages, for instance, you know, they take 100 days easily, 90 to 100 days to be the harvestable size. So, you know, if you get them in late, let's say that you want to let something grow in your summer garden a lot longer. Let's take our fall tomatoes, which, you know, they're doing okay. We still got 3 months before our frost, so I'm not overly worried about it. But let's say we wanted to let them go as long as possible. But before the frost, we were like, hey, let's pull this and let's get this out of here. But now we're running late on time. So we have to think about what can we grow that's going to withstand a frost. Even with protection, we still need to have a frost hardy crop. The key to success in fall and winter, and especially in this unheated greenhouse, is growing seasonally appropriate, cold, frost hardy, temperatured plants. That is the key. And if you need help figuring that out, it's everything that you would eat that's green. You know, you're not getting any kind of fruit, no melons, no squashes, nothing like that. You're eating greens, and that is the key to success for this time of year. So when we look at these plants, we want to figure out what is the most frost hardy and what can we get in the ground. And this is how we figure it out. And we're just going through it. So our kohlrabi and our collards are some of the last ones to go in, but They also are faster and they are more cold hardy, and that's what we want to focus on.